Hi, this is Alex Zubin, and you're listening to Biome. We've had a whole season of amazing stories that took us across the universe and into the minds of a diverse cast of characters. I often find that the stories behind the stories can be just as interesting as the fiction the authors have created. We are lucky that every author with a story from season 1 was kind enough to grant me an interview and tell me those stories. In today's episode, I interview Jordan Hirsch, author of Writing on the Wall from season 1, episode 1. Jordan Hirsch writes speculative fiction and poetry in St. Paul, Minnesota. Her debut poetry chapbook, Both Worlds, is available with Bottlecap Press, and For Women of St. Paul, a collection of short fiction, is out with Red Bird Chapbooks. Jordan, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The first question I have, just to kick it off with, is the image that started this story. Is there any character? Is there any image? Is there any idea that sparked the story behind Writing on the Wall?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm trying to remember back.
Of course.
Um, a few years ago, there was a drought here in Minnesota. I mean, I feel like the past few summers we've had drought. And I just had this, you hear, I mean, I grew up in the South, you hear like, oh, we're praying for rain, we really need the rain, that kind of thing. So to have that concept, to ask that question of like, why would someone pray against it raining when
Mhm.
typically obviously flood, but like they want to pray for it to stop raining, but like yeah, like why would someone pray for drought? Why would they not want it to rain when rain historically growing up on a farm was good? You don't want too much rain, but you need rain. So it's kind of where it started, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very cinematic, I think. It has a very real sense of place. Is there a specific location that you were envisioning or sort of inspired by, or was it just sort of created whole cloth?
Um, I feel like I'm about to show my nerd card, which that's
Totally
great.
fine.
Proud of it. I'm a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender
Oh,
fan,
wonderful.
and I feel like there's a lot of like desert. I mean, they got kind of go all over, right? The that particular world during the series, if you've seen it. But that's kind of what I had in mind. Kind
Mhm.
of like this. I think it's from season 2. They're in kind of like this like deserty cliff area for a while, in the Earth Nation.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I envisioned because I've not been to a location like that. So I had to work with what I'm familiar with, which is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. Well, I think you did a fabulous job of setting me there and helping me
Oh,
imagine
thank
them
you.
moving through these canyons, through this desert type environment.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
did you have a specific reader in mind, any
Mm,
specific person or audience that you were hoping this story would reach?
yeah. So first and foremost, I always try to write for myself, which is like feels a little cliche because I feel like all the writing books tell you to do that. And it's a hard thing to do, right? But I wanted to write a story for myself, kind of from the lens of asking, what when you grow up in a community of faith or a household of faith, regardless of what faith it would be, kind of when do you kind of shift from like, oh, this is just what we do to, oh, this is what I believe? Because that's my own story, having grown up in a community of faith. And as I got older, like, is this what I believe? Is this real? Do they all just have the wool pulled over their eyes kind of questions? Because I think those are a lot of people go through that, whether they grew up in a community of faith or not.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, just wanting to explore that.
Perfect. And actually that segues very nicely into the next question I have, which is,
Perfect.
yeah, is there anything in the story that kind of you were nervous about writing or exploring or putting down? Was there anything that you weren't sure that either you were the right person to do it or that you were equipped to address it?
Yeah, I was really nervous that it would come across. I didn't want to communicate that all faith is irrelevant or all faith is people of faith are always ignorant.
Hmm.
I really didn't want to communicate that. And part of that is I tried at the end to make it kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
Kind of with that question of, did not to spoil the story, but hopefully listeners have already listened to it. But yeah, I that question of like, well, who said if there are gods that they wouldn't work through this kind of scientific means?
Yeah.
So yeah, I hopefully had a deft hand with that because I didn't want to communicate that everything that seems to be without explanation has a fan explanation to it at the end of the day.
That makes sense. And the next question that I would have kind of dovetails from that, which is, was there a scene that was more difficult to write than others? Is there any scene that you kept coming back to and rewriting and tweaking and polishing that
Mm.
it took a couple of tries to get it just right?
Yeah, I mean, the final scene for sure. Like, I wanted, what Koba said. I was really, yeah, really wanting what Koba had to say to not be dismissive of Ashiel's experience or his questions. And so really I went over that a lot. And then similarly, when Master Koba first becomes sick and Ashiel's kind of assigned this task, yeah, I really wanted to get that right as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, just a part of it is I struggle to write kind of like transition-y scenes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, how do I get them from like the camp up to, this canyon?
Right.
Yeah, but and how do I get Ashiel in the situation I need him to be in?
Hmm.
But part of it was, yeah, wanting to like kind of display his questions and his all of the like complex emotions he was feeling in that moment while still kind of moving the story along. I didn't want
Right.
to just introspection for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. And was Ashiel always going to go sort of alone, or was Koba? Did you try and have him change that
Nope,
at
Koba
all?
was always gonna, I guess say this correctly. Koba was never going to go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Ashiel was
He's
always
never
gonna
going to
go by
make
himself.
it.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to do double negative here. So yeah. Ashiel
Absolutely.
was always gonna go by himself.
Okay. And the ending that you wrote, was it always headed in that direction, or did you change paths? Did you change endings? Anything about that?
Yeah, hmm, that's a good question. As I was tweaking it, I went back and forth on exactly how much to reveal about what Koba himself believes,
Hmm.
how much to reveal of that. So that was the big one that I like, kind of toyed with. Like,
Yeah.
what does Koba himself believe, and how much of that is he gonna share in that moment with Ashiel?
Yeah. And I think you achieved a beautiful balance there at the very end, where even at the end, there's a graceful sort of note that you ended on, where we don't actually say with 100% certainty that he is this way or that way. And he leaves it
Yeah,
open to interpretation, both to Ashiel and to us as an audience. So I
yeah.
think that's
Thank
beautiful.
you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Are there any Easter eggs in this story that you kind of tucked in there, and you maybe people noticed it, maybe they didn't, but you'd point it out to them
Oh gosh, not that I can think of.
now?
No, not that I can think of.
Yeah, I think
I'd
I
have
think
to go back
the
and reread it to be like, "Oh, is there?" But yeah, I not that I can think off the top of my head.
well, and I think the Avatar tip is an interesting lens with which people can go back and listen to it again.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably the big one.
Well, I'm going to have to go back and look at it myself with that respect. All right, we'll move on to a little bit of a lightning round, see where you
Yeah,
are as an author then.
yeah.
Okay, the first one, very traditional question: pantser or plotter?
Oh gosh. I I would say plotter, but I working a full-time job in addition to writing, I feel like I
Mhm.
don't always have time to plot as much as I want to. I just want to like I have limited time, so I just tend to dive in.
Yeah,
But I would in an ideal world, I would be plotting.
I see. Perfect
Yep.
answer. What's your power hour? Like, if you have a day that's free and you can write at any point of it, which part do you choose for your best work?
Yeah, 8 a.m. I am best in the morning, maybe even 7 a.m. I'm best
Wow.
in the morning, and then it's downhill from there.
So everything before lunch, and then after that, it's free time.
Yep.
Perfect. What's your drafting vibe? Do you turn on music? Do you have some kind of sound going, or is it dead silence?
Mm, a little bit of both. I would say I lean towards dead silence. But I like a good lo-fi beat, like lo-fi hip hop in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I almost always have to have a candle lit though.
Oh,
Like I feel like that helps me like, all right, it is drafting time, writing time.
yeah.
So always a candle lit.
Perfect. That's one of those rituals that puts you on the
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah.
Love it. Do you prefer to write by computer or ever write by hand? Do you draft by hand and put it on the computer? What's your tool?
I typically draft on the computer. If I'm stuck, I draft by hand.
Hmm.
Because usually the computer, this doesn't make any sense because there's a backspace,
Yeah.
but the computer just feels too like official sometimes. And so I have what I call the like crappy notebook method,
Mm,
where like this notebook is old, it's full of other random stuff. And so if I'm really stuck, I'm like, oh, this notebook isn't nice. So I can write whatever I want into it. It's not official. And so that'll help get me stuck. But generally, unless I'm stuck, I draft on the computer.
I see. And when it comes to your drafting and editing method, are you keep it all or and have versions, or do you liberally use the delete key?
I liberally use the delete key
Okay.
most of
No
the time.
fear.
Most of the time. Yeah. I'm currently revising a novel right now, and so I'm like, oh gosh, I've kept way too much, just in case, because you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally, I'm very liberal with the delete key, which is hard because I'm an underwriter. Like when
Mm.
I draft, I underwrite, and I have to go back in and like fill in things to make it make sense and to add depth to the characters and stuff in the world. But yeah, I don't keep it all.
Fair enough. And then final question for you, and you can take a beat to think about it if you'd like. But if you got to have dinner and drinks with any author, living
Mm,
or historic, who would it
okay.
be, and what would you talk about?
Oh gosh, living or historic, you said?
Living or historic. Go back as
Okay.
far as you'd like.
Mm. Okay, I had a thought initially and went through a few other options, but I'm gonna go with my first thought because I think that's the real answer. Even after giving it a little thought. Octavia Butler.
Mm,
She's one of my very favorite authors. I would love to just pick her brain about everything, um, about, the world she lived in, the time she lived in, I guess, and kind of her thoughts on the time now and how, I mean, she's seen as a very prophetic author. And so wanting to get her take on our current circumstances, wanting to get her take on where we're going from here, but also about, the craft,
yeah,
because I love her work, love her characters and her worlds. Yeah. So
that
I
absolutely
just,
makes sense.
I want to hear everything from her.
I guess as a bonus question, is there a book of hers or a work of hers that you particularly admire, or just the whole work catalog, I
I
guess?
mean, the Pattern Master series is phenomenal. But when I was doing my master's program, I wrote my research paper on the Xenogenesis
Hmm.
trilogy, and I love that trilogy so much. Yeah, I wish I could write like, a dozen more research papers just on that trilogy. I loved it. I want to reread it, but it's been a few years. But that's probably my favorite.
Perfect.
Um,
And I think that's a great recommendation for viewers, for listeners to go check out Xenogenesis by Octavia Butler, to go check out more of Jordan Hirsch's writing. Your writing is listed on your website, so they should go check that out, give it a read. And Jordan, you're also on the socials.
I am.
They can go find you, they can go follow you, and keep up on your work.
Yeah, particularly Instagram and Blue Sky are my two socials right now. So,
All right, perfect. Well, I
okay.
loved getting to hear from you, getting to learn more about the story, and I really appreciate the time we spent today. And hopefully, anybody who still hasn't done so yet, please go back, listen to Jordan's story, season 1, story number 1, Writing on the Wall.
Yeah, thank
Jordan,
you.
thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this interview, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast. I also hope you consider sharing this podcast with somebody who loves great fiction. Next week's interview with Steve Zissin will be released as a written exchange exclusively on Patreon. The interview will be available for free, but I hope you consider signing up to support Biome so I can keep sharing amazing stories and interviews with you. You'll find the link in the show notes. But for now, dear listener, farewell wherever the days take you.